We know we're making our own choices, right? We believe every decision, from choosing a career, a partner, to deciding where to invest, comes from free will and rational thought. But the truth is, our brain runs on autopilot. The way we eat, sleep, love, work, and most importantly, the way we spend money, are mostly just pre-programmed patterns. Old codes triggered automatically, without us even realizing it. And that's exactly why so many of us repeat the same cycles, making the same financial mistakes, falling into the same toxic relationships, only this time in a new context, with new names and faces. If you can understand the 5 fundamental laws I'm about to share, you won't just understand human behavior, you'll understand why you do what you do and how to change it. 1. The law of least effort. Imagine a river. It never flows uphill. It always finds the easiest path, the one with the least resistance to reach the ocean. Everything in nature works that way, and humans are no exception. Our brains are wired to conserve energy. They will always choose the path of least effort. Psychologist Sean Achor, one of Harvard's leading experts on positive psychology, demonstrated this beautifully through a simple experiment on himself. Achor wanted to build the habit of playing guitar every day, but his guitar was stored deep inside a closet in its case. Every time he wanted to practice, his brain would do a quick calculation, walk to the closet, open the door, pull out the heavy case, set it down, unlock it, take the guitar out. The whole thing took only 20 seconds, yet it was enough for his brain to say, "Too much work, watching TV is easier," and so he almost never practiced. Then he made one small change. He bought a guitar stand and placed the guitar right in his living room. At the same time, he took the batteries out of his TV remote and hid them in his bedroom drawer. Suddenly, playing guitar became 20 seconds easier, while watching TV became 20 seconds harder. His behavior changed almost instantly. He started playing every day. Achor called this the 20-second rule. And it's incredibly simple. Make the things you want to do easier to start, and make the things you want to avoid harder to start. Now, let's bring it into real life. Want to stay consistent with your workouts? Pick a gym that's on your route home from work. Lay out your clothes, shoes, and water bottle the night before. When the alarm rings at 5 a.m., the only decision left is to get up and go. Want to manage your finances and invest consistently? Don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left. Set up an automatic transfer from your paycheck into your investment account the same day you get paid. That way, saving becomes your default action, no decisions, no willpower needed. 2. The law of cognitive ease. Our brains hate complexity. They crave simplicity and familiarity. Anything that's easy to understand and process is automatically labeled as trustworthy and safe. That's why, in politics, short, catchy slogans repeated over and over can have massive influence regardless of whether they're true or not. And in everyday life, when you hear a lie enough times, it starts to sound like the truth. This principle applies directly to how we build habits. Don't tell yourself, "I want to improve my finances." That's vague and heavy. Instead, say, "I'll save $10 every day." The benefit here is that you remove the biggest psychological barrier, the sense of overwhelm. By making the first step so small and so clear that it feels easy, you're tricking your brain into seeing a new behavior not as something familiar and safe. 3. The paradox of choice. You're standing in front of an ice cream counter with 40 different flavors: vanilla, chocolate, mint, coffee, salted caramel, cheesecake. The more you look, the more overwhelmed you feel. In the end, you either default to plain vanilla or walk away without buying anything at all. Now imagine the counter only has 3 options: vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Suddenly, your decision becomes quick and effortless. More choices should mean more freedom, right? Not exactly. This is a well-documented psychological phenomenon proven by a classic study from Professor Sheena Iyengar at Columbia University. On the first day of her experiment, she set up a table with 24 varieties of jam. Many people stopped to sample attracted by the variety, but only 3% actually bought a jar. The next day, she reduced the display to just 6 types of jam. Fewer people stopped, but 30% of them made a purchase. That's a 10-fold increase in sales, simply by reducing the number of choices. The law here is simple. The more options we have, the harder it becomes for the brain to make a decision. So, if you want to change your behavior, try simplifying your choices to maximize action. Instead of having a to-do list with 20 items, identify the 3 most important tasks for the day. And instead of chasing 10 goals at once, learning a new language, building a career, getting 6-pack abs, choose one main goal per quarter and pour all your energy and focus into that. 4. Conservation of energy. Have you ever wondered why the right decisions, the ones that lead to long-term benefits, are often the hardest to act on? You know you should go out for a run to improve your health, but your body stays glued to the bed. You know you should sit down and finish that important report, yet somehow opening a random TikTok video feels irresistible. That's because your brain, at its core, is an energy-saving machine. Every thought, every action, every moment of focus consumes energy, and your brain's first instinct is to protect that resource at all costs. That's why breaking a bad habit feels so incredibly hard. That bad habit has turned into a mental shortcut, an automatic pathway in your brain that takes almost no energy to run. So, how do you break that pattern? You have to change the context. If you use the same computer for both work and entertainment, your brain will default to the lower effort path of entertainment. The fix? Create 2 separate user profiles, one for work, one for fun. That small environmental shift forces your brain to exit autopilot because switching to fun mode now takes a little extra effort when you're in work mode. And finally, law number 5, the master law that ties it all together, the law of the 2 selves. Inside each of us, there are 2 selves constantly fighting for control. The first is the intentional self, the version of you that sets goals, makes plans, and genuinely wants to grow. The second is the automatic self, the one that avoids discomfort and craves convenience. When you set your alarm for 5 a.m. the night before, that's your intentional self in charge. But when the alarm rings in the morning, it's the automatic self that wakes up and hits snooze without hesitation. Neuroscientists estimate that as much as 95% of our daily behavior comes from the automatic self. That's why you often know what you should do, but still end up doing the opposite. So, what's the solution? Let your intentional self design an environment and a system where your automatic self has no choice but to do the right thing. Make good habits easy to start. That's Law 1. Keep your cues simple and obvious. That's Law 2. Cut out the distracting choices. That's Law 3. And work with your brain's instinct to conserve energy. That's Law 4. Put these laws together, and you create a setup where doing the right thing takes less effort. If you found these strategies helpful, hit the like button. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next videos, because our journey is just getting started. Thanks for watching.